Newcastle United have officially qualified for next season's Champions League. It's a 2-decade-long journey that's finally come to a head, and we're going to see Newcastle back in Europe. Huge club in Europe. Who can hate it? I'm Sideline Sato. This is Sideline Sato YouTube channel. Today, we're looking at Newcastle United qualifying for the Champions League, the implications, how they got there, and kind of dive into all of it and assess it. So, Eddie Howe, probably the greatest English manager since Sir Bobby Robson, which is convenient because, Robson also managed Newcastle. But he has been such a good coach who's worked on tiny budgets at Bournemouth and now has the most amount of financial wealth that any team possesses in the world. With Eddie Howe and Newcastle specifically, if you look at the signings they've made, there hasn't been like a excess or total influx of cash that's been so staggering that it explains away the reasoning behind Newcastle qualifying. Rather, they've been very strategic and very measured in their approach with buying players. Bruno Gomes, Alexander Isak, those are probably the two standout players, and maybe Sven Botman, who were at a certain stage in their career to where you would expect them to go for a lot of money. They would go for 40, 50 odd mil, and it wouldn't be a shocker. But the other players who have worked in this Newcastle system aren't necessarily the craziest, most expensive, luxurious purchases. Kieran Trippier has been immense. I'm pretty sure they got him on a free. Joe Willock has been fantastic. He was bought from Arsenal, and he was an academy prospect at Arsenal, so he wasn't that expensive. Anthony Gordon has been a little weird at like 35 mil. As Newcastle performs better, as they have higher league finishes on average, as they qualify for European competition more, they will be able to invest more and more. And I think there's a clear distinction between what City have done and what Newcastle are doing. It's very similar, but in my opinion, you look at the way Newcastle's bought players, and it's not them going out and signing like a Robinho level player for Newcastle. There's not been like a superstar that they've signed who it's like, oh my God, they've signed Neymar. They've gone and they've bought quality players. These players aren't being purchased in ridiculously high fees just for the sake of buying, big players who will attract attention to the club. It's a very meticulous squad composition that they've curated through buying people like Gomes, like Trippier, like Nick Pope, like Botman, like Isak, and just really working really well actually to combine everybody in the squad and make a greater sum than the parts. I think that Eddie Howe has been phenomenal for them. A lot of their players have really just impressed me this season. Callum Wilson's been on a tear to close the season out. He's been phenomenal. There has been some moments where they're a little shaky, at the back, and moments where Newcastle don't quite play at the intensity that you would expect of them. And, there's always complaints from people, but I can't help but feel happy for Newcastle fans because Newcastle is a club who I personally don't have anything against. I've never seen them as rivals to Liverpool, but ultimately Newcastle has had incredibly passionate fans the whole time I've watched footy. St. James Park is a historic ground in the Premier League. They have been in Europe many times before. They have legendary players like Shearer, and when I started really watching, it was like the Ben Arfa era, like Kabaye, Demba Ba. So Newcastle is a team who I kind of have some sympathy for them going through all those financial hardships, and it's kind of convenient that now, so long after the Mike Ashley era, Newcastle's at a place where ultimately they could do as they please. They have all the resources and a really good backroom staff, and it just works out. Congratulations to all the Newcastle fans for qualifying for next year's Champions League. Definitely a little peeved that Liverpool probably won't qualify for it, but it is nevertheless an incredible accomplishment, especially as a team who last season were 18th, to go from that position to third in the league and play really good defensive football doing it. I think it deserves a round of applause. So congratulations, Newcastle fans. Enjoy it. Enjoy next season. Comment below how you think Newcastle's summer transfer window will go, what you thought of Newcastle this season, ultimately what you think Newcastle's aspirations should be in the Champions League next year, now that they are officially confirmed to be playing in the tournament. Anyways, I'm Sideline Sato. Thank you so much for watching the video. Peace.